ourselves in a more satisfying life, a more blessed life, a more balanced life, where we align to the highest truth, where we align to natural laws and not align to spiritual laws, and we re-educate our mind so that when our path does not deliver significantly what we think it should be, it's time to do deeper reflection, which is what this is all about. To do a deeper reflection so that we can rethink and reforge and re-examine our path to be sure that the path we are is a path of truth, a path of goodness, a path of wisdom, a path of wellness, a path that has solidity and give us sense of direction, a path that give us confidence and clarity of mind, where we have courage to continue to push into a higher level. This path is a place of awakening, and so that if what we know is not delivering us the anticipated satisfaction or blessedness, it's time we reconsider it. And so here we challenge status quo, we redefine standard, and we invite people into a higher level, because we say if you are in a base life is associated with unhealthy mind. An unhealthy mind have unhealthy thought. An unhealthy mind conditioned you to have perspective that are negative. Negative means that you are in prison of that negativity. We'll call it the pond of negativity. So you perceive things. It creates a mental attitude, like your attitude, your mental attitude, which is a mental construct, will keep a perpetual thought. And those thoughts that you consistently harbor and cogitate and ponder over, you become a holder of them, and they trap you, and it affects your belief system. And we have said times without number, you are a deliberate creator of your reality. Every experience, every representation of your life right now, you created it through your perception, through your mental attitude, through your belief system, through your thought patterns, through your emotional expression on them, and through your behavior and your character conduct. So today we're continuing our journey on the illusion of control. We've done a whole lot of series. We talked about expectation and all that. You can go back so you can follow us. And the more you ponder about it, don't just wash it away because we're talking. We don't need to talk. But
it's another moment when the good book said, it is the glory of God to conceive a matter, and it is the glory of man to search it out. He said, those that do know their God will do explore. And so in this part of higher life, we do explorative what causes you pain. No, it's the thought on what has happened that causes you pain, because you will get back the thought that you have sent into the wave system. You believe. In fact, what it means that you are living that stuff and your behavior. So why am I taking time to explain this? It is important to lay this foundation, because this is how we are creating our future unknowing. Let me give an instance. So a particular man was in pretense, always in pretense of owning a car. So he was what they called those guys that wash. So he worked in a car wash. Brilliant as he was, he speaks very well, and he was trustworthy in terms of his expression. So the customers, he has gained such a reputation, and where he was trusted, and so they could ask him to deliver the car back to the client's house or to the office. He was that good. But now you know that is not his car. But as usual, young people who are looking for external validation, material validation. Now, material validation that you want to be accepted is a pretense. Now, you're using pretense to control, which is a sort of manipulation, to manipulate the mind of another person or your friend. Now, when you manipulate them through a pretense, you have sown a seed of pretense in their heart, because in your heart you know that this is not real, but you're showing them unreal thing, and so they buy into unreal thing and believed in you on that unreal thing. So now the seed of lie will bring back is the fruit or the manifestation of lies, and that's how we run. So what happened? He got into his girlfriend, and unknowing to the naive, open-hearted, all believing, all loving, gentle lady who has who also is in a pretense that they love the guy but love the material thing, not the guy, because this is what pretense does, because pretense will connect to pretense. And so now he was changing car, so he said to the guy, the lady, I sold cars. So I mean, they come, I put over there, and of course once in a while he takes the car, drives her home, and the cost of going back to drop the car that has been entrusted to him. And so what happened as the journey continues? So the lady has believed his pretense, and that pretense has conditioned her mind and create expectation. You know, we have talked about the illusion of expectation. You see how they are all content. Now, this person was sold to a dummy of material manifestation, accepting it. Oh, my husband sells car, or my what's it called now, my boyfriend sells car. So in the course of their relationship, they got married, and as they got married, of course, because he was trusted, there was a vehicle to take them. So now she is pregnant in the course of course, because I mean there was car to move over there, and he said, we need a car. Since you sell car, we need a car. I'm pregnant, so I can't disturb you. I can drive over there. Multiple car. Can we not have our own car parked in our compound? Because all this while the car, none of his cars were parked in the compound. She continued to progress in her pregnancy. Now you see, the illusion of pretense have created an idea, have formed an expectation, which is an illusion of expectation, because that illusion was based on falsehood and pretense. You see how the loop of life continue, and we think we are suffering. But if you also interview the lady, she has also pretended that I love you, and that love was also conditioned on pretense that I can stay with you in good time and in bad time. So as time progresses, unfortunately, the guy in the process of one day and say, can I not go and see where you work? And I can't marry you and don't know your office. I need to be able to run down to you. I'm pregnant in case there's anything. It was then that the illusion of pretense begin to materialize into true self. That means the man was not authentic, so he has lost his originality, and his original idea where his power is based has been compromised, and that compromise has also compromised his future, because now the woman has got to find out, my husband do not own a car, is not a car dealer, he is a car washer. So first and foremost, there's already lies. So there's a mistrust, and there's a misrepresentation, there's a misconstruction. The whole idea is falsehood, because it was based on illusion of pretense. This is powerful. We live it on a daily basis. And when we have gotten in, how did I find myself here? You can't escape it. who had been there before. I mean, I've been there. And so when I talk about some of these things, I'm not just talking about it from the premise of my heart, oh, he wants to talk. I really don't want to talk. But I'm excited that I have tested it, I've been delivered. And so now they say he comforted others, we might comfort others. So I am a light worker. And the duty of light workers is, they can't even sleep, because you know why? Their duty is to bring the good news to people. First of all, they are messengers, they are healers. So I want to heal your mind. I know maybe you are in that trap. How can we come out of it? There's a way out. As we progress, I can show you what it means, acknowledging it yourself, accepting where you are already. Don't reject it.
Is another moment when we redefine standard of life. Higher energy. If it is low level, which is characterized by self-centeredness, you will see that there's a diminution. It will not manifest. But because what you sent out comes back to you, lower base energy will come in terms of regret. That's why when people say they regret a thing or they are sad about the outcome, they don't take time to reflect their input through their perception, mind, attitude, through their thought pattern, through their belief system, through their emotional engagement or expression, and through their behavior. They don't know, but they are quick to blame. In fact, blame means control. But it's now saying, let the inner movement of your heart always be to love one another. Never play the role of an actor wearing mask. I don't know how many of us are wearing mask. If you're wearing mask, I beg of you, it's time to remove those pretense. And I'm not the one saying it. It's a despise evil and embrace everything that is good and virtuous. Be devoted. Being devoted means you have no option, it's not votable. To tenderly loving your fellow believers as a member of one family, try to outdo yourself in respect and honor of one another. You know what to say? Try to outdo yourself, not in pretense, not in manipulation, not in mask, not in false claim, because another word to pretend is false claim, and it's so rampant. It's like you have something on your face that you don't like, and you are ashamed of it, and you think that people will not accept you because there's something in your face, so you continue to wear a makeup, right? And so you wear makeup, and another person admire your makeup without going, that's superficial, without what they say, inner movement. Because you see, most times is the exterior is coded with a lot of pretense. Don't go into work by pretense. Don't go into school by pretense. I mean, we have heard it severally where people have gone into school system. They pretended that they have admission. You know, there are people who were in school for 5 years. They were not admitted in school, so they flew with everybody, told their parents that they are in school. Everybody know they are in school. They see them in school. In fact, they higher school. But they never attended class. They spent 5 years in college pretending, false claiming. That's pretense, that's illusion. They thought they are doing their parents. They thought they are doing their friends. They thought they are doing everybody. They lived in their own false reality, but creating a future that is destructive. Of course it will be revealed. Don't be it's a temporary thing. Illusions are temporary things. And you see, the point is that in our mind structure, we have done like what they call permanency, solidified it. Inherently, it lacks solidity, really, because when the true reality shows up, it will unveil it. You see why it's important? You need to listen to some of this alternative thinking so that you understand that you're not that smart. Oh, guys, we're not that smart. And this is one thing that we need to appreciate this platform, because we're unveiling truth or dimensions or frequencies that people don't want to vibrate into. And that's why we're bringing a positive energy to recalibrate our mind and to redirect our path, so that we can find the truth that lead us into solidity and bring us. You see, one of the things that we don't understand is, when you live right, you create right, and there's a flow of you receive right. Because two things that happened: we create and it flows back. We create and it flows back. And unfortunately, we are not in control how we flow. Is that Paul saying, "I planted, Apollos watered, who give the increase?" God, the earth, the universe, everybody. It gives back. Because you see, I said this thing: if you don't contribute to life, is what you contribute to life, that life makes it, which is the mother earth, makes it back to you and brings it back to you. It's not vacuum, it's a principle. Know it today. So your pretense that you are in school will create an emptiness, because you are going to harvest emptiness. You didn't go to school. You didn't go to school. We are all full of pretense, and it's illusion, false claim, mask, simulation. That's what is simulating. You are simulating an idea that you are not. You forge a certificate. You forged it. It is not real. And you realize that any day they are doing certificate validation, and you hear you are going helter-skelter. Why? It was falsehood. And falsehood will give you instability. It will make you to be covering, like, sense of direction, no solidity, no confidence. You might be systematic, but when the root is rotten, it's just a matter of time. It will collapse. And that's why it's important. So let me read this again. I like it. Fascinating. It's so fascinating. It says, let the inner movement. Inner movement means your perception, your attitude, your thought patterns, your belief system must be in sync into authenticity. Driven in your heart, always be love another, and never play the role of an actor wearing mask. I like the way it was put in again, 1 Timothy chapter 1 verse 5. For we reach the goal of fulfilling all the commandments. Right? You see what I'm talking about? Our life is driven by law. So when you are suffering, you are out of sync of the commandment. That's the beauty about this. For we reach the goal of fulfilling all the commandments when we love others deeply with a pure heart. With a pure heart. Have you seen purity? To the pure, all things are pure. To the defiled, that means the people who claim, who has false claim. False claim means you're not pure. That's what false claim means. With a pure heart, a clean conscience, and a sincere faith. And you know that without faith, really, it is impossible to get anything good. It's impossible. I'm pleading with you. Drop the false pretense. It's an illusion of control. Control things to be validated externally. Come on. You don't need external validation. You have been validated. You don't need anybody to accept you. You have been accepted in the beloved of the Father. In your true self. Not in your ego self, because it's ego that feel rejected, it's ego that feel worthless, it's ego that feel underestimation, and they feel that worthy are like a worm, that you're nobody. I come to tell you, man, no matter where you are, one cloth is part of life. Trekking is part of life. Wherever you find yourself, be that authentic self. Lord, I wish I know these things. Your color be comfortable. I'm not motivating you. I'm causing you to think. I'm inspiring you to think. I live an inspirational, intuitive, and inclusive, intelligent, instructive life, especially instructive life. And that's why we ask you to make sure you have your personal law, understand the divine law, you are in harmony with them. When you have no concept of your own, or you have no bias, or what they call the anchor's bias, then you are going to live authentically. When you live authentically, you live powerfully. When you live powerfully, you live compassionately. Compassionately means non-judgmental life. You live lovingly, not means non-conditional living. You live meaningfully is what brings you meaning, and purposely what serves the right purpose. And you see, you live such a satisfied, upward life. It's amazing. Very amazing. So, you see what it said? For we reach the goal of fulfilling all commandments when we love others deeply with a pure heart. If it's not pure, it's not pure diluted. It's the same thing about the illusion of pretense. People who are on the medicine ward, they give us fake medicine in pretense. Oh, you package it nicely, but inside your heart there's no pure conscience, there's no pure heart, there's no sincere faith, and you think that you are making material gain. I'm afraid. Don't be deceived. There's a harvest. How it's going to happen, you don't know. And that's also where we have found ourselves, where people stayed in their laptop and they conjure an idea in pretense falsehood, and they sell it to also their people, because it takes a greedy person to falsify an idea without a deep connection. You're only connected to the material world because you are also false pretending that you are doing this. That's why false pretenders, match with false pretenders. Have you seen people who got married in party? They're pretending that they are this, and they're pretending it was when they eventually got to the house. You say, you did do this, I did do this. They were hiding, they were not doing that, but of course you can't hide authentic place. And nature will nurture. They followed passion. You see, when we say don't follow passion, that's why people follow passion, which is feelings. And that feeling is an illusion if it is not rooted in purity of heart, in clear conscience, and in sincere faith. It's also in terms of employers and employees. They're also a pretend. You pretend that you love your colleagues or your workers or your staff, whatever you call them. You manipulate them. But let me tell you, it's a material false pretend will show itself when the true self is challenged. You'll be unveiled that you were not sincere in your heart. And that's why we're bringing these illusions, because it's scripting. It's more like about leaders, pretty who like what our leaders are. They pretend that they are our leaders. They are not our leaders. Our leaders mean service. I mean, let's look at it. In the divide where we are, in the space where we find ourselves, especially if we find ourselves in where we find ourselves, you will realize that it is a pretense on both the follower and the leader, because we are all pretending. We know the truth. And you see, this is what about pretense. Forget it. In their heart of heart, people will laugh. They say we have cheated them because we presented them that we are going to love them, especially political folks. They hire pretenders who make them up right? That's the thing about lies of politicians. We need to delve into some of these things as well to really. And I'm going to help politicians to come out real, because they would have been richer, they would have been more authentically, they would have been more powerful, driven, if I go back into purity. So they hire makeups. They are professional makeups. Like you have professional makeup who make up women. There are people who make up politicians. They write speeches for them. Those speeches are not authentic. They are pretense. They are coded with false claim. And that's why when they get into office, they cannot perform, because it's outside their nature. They follow the passion of politics, but their true self does not connect to that place. They are not in harmony. They do not honor their authentic self, so they are not powerful. Don't think they are powerful. That's why you see they are crowded in fear, weakness, and that's why somebody can come in and tell you no. And that's why you see superficiality when you go inside them. Irrespective of what they have quoted in their mind and how their what do they call it, their professional makeup has made their mind up, and so they are following a script. Lies, pretense. If it's outside pure heart, clean conscience, and sincere faith, it's a pretense. Illusion of pretense. Honestly, 90% of the people suffering in relationship pretended. And so what we suffer is we created it. Your heart, your pure heart, has connected to the authentic of that person. You are not in sync. But the pleasure of the car, the pleasure of her to be the husband of this pretty lady who comes in, or that's the root of suffer. That's the root of dissatisfaction. That's the root of unaccomplishment, unfulfilled life. That's what creates emptiness. That emptiness in your heart. Because when you come back home, and you need to come back home in that authentic place. There's godliness, there's Christ consciousness, and there's abundance, there's infinite flow. That's the oceanic place. That's where there's plenty. That's where there is possibility. That's where there's infinite mercy. That's where there's boundless grace. That's what we're talking about. It is a comfortable place where you authentically live a life. We pretend. And that's why you see people who are pretending, you see, arrogant. That's where competition comes in. That's where comparison comes in. That's where external validation comes in. Because it's a lot of makeup. Really, when people want to trap you into believing in them, you know what? They will hire. Have you noticed people who will never bring you to their office? They're ever taking you to hotel. What they're doing, they're conditioning you in the hotel space, pretending like you see, hey, this is our natural place. They say, oh, can we meet at the office? They will prefer to meet in an exotic place to continue to bring you to trust them. You're trusting in falsehood. In their heart, there's no pure conscience, there's no pure heart, there's no sincere faith. And that's why also, it happens also in religious circles where we come up with our best. You see people coming from different background. Right? Of course, you don't have to represent where you are. We're not saying you don't have to, but can you also, I'm going to say something also very powerful. Can you also let me know where you are coming from. When we start, I know that religious place of oneness, unification, where we identify to our superior thinking, that condition us. But you see, where you're coming from may leave a stain in you. If you continue to pretend that you are XYZ, meanwhile you're not there, what happened is there are things that you don't know in that XYZ. And when a question of speech, because that speech, I've talked about speech, each speech have a speech, a particular speech. Now, smart people will use the speech of that place to test whether you are part of it. And because you are not there, you cannot formulate it. This is all that trap. Have you noticed that when people are dating, they pretend to each other? They pretend. A guy will pretend everything. Now, this is how it's at. The guy will pretend and probably borrow money or not borrow money. Have you noticed that men, instead of starting from Buka, will first of all take you to an exotic place, exalting your mind that this is where they belong. They move into hotels, top restaurant. They find themselves, spending so well. But once they have to manipulate through this modification and misrepresentation and false claim, and they trap you in, you are now in. What are you going to do? Because of so you also false claim. You see how they attract. And unfortunately, if we are not careful, we continue to produce this cycle of falsehood, and that's why we have natural breakup more, because the solid base, the foundation of trust has been eroded, and you cannot sow in weakness and rise up to strength unless there's a modification of the foundation, which has to be repentance, rebirth, transformation, and total acceptance of that falsehood, and now a commitment, a devotion to now move back into the higher law energy of pure conscience, pure heart, and unfeigned love. I read that something. I think it said, let love be unfeigned. Let love be unfeigned. Unfeigned means let it not be double standard. I like the way if you have unstable marriage now, go back to the foundation. What is bringing this instability? It could be pretense, because you see, pretense is like double standard. James put it so well. He said a double-minded person cannot achieve anything lasting. Kai, this is deep. A double-minded person, that is what pretense does, because we are using it to control. I wish people will share this to most people, so that we come into this consciousness, so that we can uproot this destructive tendency that we have so belittled ourselves and stayed in a baseline, because that pride will lead us to the low base, because it's pride content. So I hope I'm making sense. I wish people could drop their questions so that we can do that. And I know majority of us are in this trap. Double standard. When I look at my nation, I see double standard buildings erecting. Why? There was a pretense that you are trusted. How friends are trusted with business. They start together, and motives are very powerful. When I say understanding high motive, high intentions, it's revealing. And the truth about is that when people are in a low base, they attract similar low base. It's only a matter of time. Those low base will show themselves that, hey, I didn't know that we're in low base together. But when you pretend that to be accepted of man based on shifting reality, what we call shifting reality is everything that is material is shifting. It is so impermanent. It's so shifting. It is a movement. That's why I say the movement of your heart. And it's so common even in the marketplace. Brother pretending, sister pretending, children. Okay, let me come to student. Students are so powerful in pretense. Your dad is making effort, training 4 children simultaneously. No compassion, no empathy, no sense of connection with your dad. Then you come home, you pretended that the school fees is XYZ, but in your heart you have doubled it. Pretend. You are so good at it and you are trusted, and because you know that your dad do not have the facility or the channels with which to verify it, and because of the love of a child. I know this particular gentleman. I know him. This is not story. I know him. When he was in school, secondary school, then, you know what he did? He was pretending. In fact, the dad was a petty trader who was trading on medicine then. The dad will save money and give him school fees. And those days you pay your school fees, not now. They do the transfer. Does the transfer. I can't even give my child school fees to pay. It's heavy. What would be the doing it? I'll pay the school directly, not because I'm stingy. Why? But anyway, there was a trust mechanism, and that guy continuously pretending he was paying the school fees. Obviously, he was, most times it's when it's done, when exam, of course, when you exam, you will show your certificate and show your payment receipt and all that. This guy will continue to go to school pretending. And what was he doing with those things? Buying material thing, pretending to another person, another woman, another thing, buying stuff that, I'm also part of this engagement. Come on, nope. You see, when we talk about value, principle, and priority. If you are a person of value, your need will not trap you, because it is need that motivates falsehood, false claim, pretense. It is need, and we have Satans without number. Let not your need drive you. In fact, neediness is a sign of lack of creativity, because creativity is who we are. We are creators. Ye are God, the sons of the Most High God. I'm not supposed to be created. What it means that acceptance means I'm being created. Validation, external validation, it means that somebody is creating me. If they create me, they can take that creation, they can decreate me. For myself creating, I don't have it. I create resources. I'm so resourceful, I'm so powerful, I'm so intelligent, I'm so innovative to be able to innovate me. I can innovate my relationship, I can innovate my acceptance. That's what it is. It's your need of validation that brings you to this ill, I call it ill of pretense, because that's what we use to control the heart of men and engage them and trap them to a more permanent thing. How can you trap them? So look at what happened. I continue in that mood. I know him more. He's still there today. He amounted to nothing. I know him. He's still in that, always asking, always seeking for help. You see how the falsehood has conditioned you as a way of life. That's the evil. Take a form. We talked about form, speech, and mind. Because mind you have been ingrained. You have been conditioned. You have not attached it as a way of life. And now it short-circuits you. It devalues you. It imprisons you. It stunts you. In fact, it deconstructs you completely and give you another person. And you think, because that's what falsehood and pretense, there's another person. It can be used in positive. That's why what connects it is what we say with a pure heart, clear conscience, and sincere heart, which is what's called higher motive. Higher motive is not self-centeredness. Good intention means all serving, good serving. That's the implication of it. But once pretense is for self-glorification, self-interest, self-centeredness, self-agreed glorification, that is what they call the low intention. That is what they call the base intention. That is what prompts need. But higher motive is actually others thinking, which is what they say that let's go back to what we said in Romans chapter 12. I like to go back to that Romans 12 verse 5. Verse 9. Let the inner movement of your heart always be love, to love one another, and never play the role of an actor wearing a mask. Hey, drop it. Let's drop it. Is it going to be easy? It will give us a better, beautiful, bold, balanced life. It's evil. Pretense. Don't pretend that you love me and you lie about me. Don't pretend that you are loyal to me. You're only loyal to my material personality, not my true essence. Because my true essence, that's what you should be loyal. Loyal to my values, loyal to the principle that operate over me. Don't come and feel like you're loyal. You pretend that you're loyal, but meanwhile you're not loyal. You know that what you are interested is to dupe me, is interested to shortchange me. And we see this on a daily basis. In fact, it's almost like normal. We have normalized it. It becomes a tendency with which we deal with self in the market structure, in relationship, in family, associates. You see people who will follow people and will justly pretend to be XYZ. They come to your house until they marry you, and the only reason they are marrying you is the interest in your family. And when that is not coming forth, because the other families who are wise, they have higher intention and higher motive, and you can't crack them, they'll find fault and tell you are not marrying you again, or the man is wicked. When can we drop this illusion of pretense? Have you seen how we are progressing and unlocking and unveiling? It's more like a revelational knowledge. We didn't know this to this in-depth, because they are seed, and seed have harvest. I'm imploring you, remove the mask. Each time mask, whatever mask you are. How am I going to help? First and foremost, you are more powerful. You are you're not helpless. You are beautiful. You are powerful personality. You are a creator. You have been universally designed to be helped. He said, those I foreknew are predestined. And those are predestined. Oh, I called, and those I called, I justified. You have been justified and glorified. How do you come out of this? First of all, now it's time for us to make repentance, rebirth. First of all, acknowledge it right away. and come into the Christ consciousness, because sometimes we need to come to Christ consciousness to be able to be as a form of pattern with which to transform us. Come to the light of truth. Acknowledge, yes, we are all in this hub of pretense. It's everywhere. It's even in the religious cycle. It's so powerful. Manipulation, falsehood. And that's why we are sowing in the flesh and we're reaping in the flesh. It's time to acknowledge it. When you acknowledge it, you know, you recognize there's a help. And this cannot be done without divine help. Divine help is where you come through meditation. Go back to divine books. Read like I'm reading. I'm reading from a divine book. What did he say? Let the inner movement of your heart always be loved one another, and never play the role of an actor wearing a mask. Despise evil, embrace everything that is good and virtuous. Be devoted to tenderly loving your fellow believers as member of one family. Try to outdo yourself in respect, in honor of one another. Be enthusiastic to serve the Lord, keeping your passion towards him boiling hot. Radiate with glory of the Spirit. Let him fill you. That's what we're saying. Christ consciousness will fill you with excitement as you serve him. Let this hope burst forth within you, releasing a continual joy. Don't give up in times of trouble, because in times of trouble your true self will be revealed. But commune with God at all times. Take a constant interest in the need of God's beloved people and respond by help, and eagerly welcome people as guests into your home. Speak blessing, not cursing, because honestly falsehood is cursing. Pretense is cursing, because you curse people and give them falsehood and they believe you, and now they are believing on fake, they are believing on substructure. Celebrate with those who celebrate you. I'm celebrating you. I'm dropping my falsehood and pretense. I want to live authentically. I want to live powerfully. I want to live compassionately. I want to live deep love. I want to live with reverence and respect for others, knowing that if we are all from a pure heart, with a good conscience, and unfeigned love, then sweetness is dependability. And when we create a solid background, contractors will no longer pretend that they've done the job when they have not done it. Designers will not be lying. Tailors will not pretend. Artisans will come back into no longer pretending that I've done the job, meanwhile I've not done the job. Ladies and gentlemen, redefine the standard of your pretense and come to pure conscience, the pure heart, to sincere faith, and see how there's a transformation, a rebate with a satisfying life, because that is what higher life means. Thank you so much. Tomorrow is stand out. It's called Back Home. Did I say back home? You've been outside for too long. Exactly 11 o'clock. I don't know where you will be. It will be Power Park. We're going to reveal your real self, the true self, your bolder self, and home calling